How many choices are there when you go shopping? Too many, right? So how do you know which bridle, girth or harness is best for your dog or horse? There's a huge difference between regular and anatomical products. So let's take a look at the major differences and why you might choose one over the other. Hi, I'm Zoe, the owner and vet physio here at Fit Pet Physio, and you can find out more about us by using the links down in the description. Let's start by having a look at the anatomical bridle versus the regular bridle. An anatomical bridle is designed to avoid the infraorbital and mantle foramen and the temporomandibular joint. The foramen are little holes in your horse's skull where the nerves come out and enter the muscle and the skin, and the temporomandibular joint is the joint between the bottom of their jaw and the rest of their skull. These areas are very sensitive, and traditional bridles can sit on top of these areas. When this happens, they can cause overstimulation of these nerves through the foramens or discomfort of the temporomandibular joint. This can lead to your horse not being comfortable in the mouth, chewing the bit, trying to yawn, open their mouth a lot, or it can lead to behaviour such as head shaking. As anatomical bridles are designed to avoid these places, they can be a really good option if your horse isn't comfortable in a regular bridle. Although most anatomical bridles are a sort of modified flash version, you can get some without the flash attachment too. So what about anatomical girths? So there are 4 different types of anatomical girths and they all come in different shapes. So, number 1, we've got a traditional anatomical or contour girth, which is cut back at the elbows on both sides, allowing for use in both directions, and is for horses that have a good girth line, where their girth line does not interfere with their elbows. A second type of anatomical girth is an asymmetrical girth. So this is cut back at both elbows but only on one side. And this is for those horses whose girth line is slightly further forward and could interfere with their elbows. We then have the third type, which is a crescent girth. This is crescent shaped and again is cut back behind the elbows, but is really good for short backed or narrow chested horses where the saddle has a tendency to become pushed forward. We have the fourth type, the athletico girth, and this is great for those horses that are of an athletic build, and it's sort of the opposite of a crescent girth, so it's great if your horse's saddle tends to slip backwards. All of these girths are cut back behind the elbow to stop any interference between the girth and the elbow joint, whereas a standard girth does not have any cut back, it is straight on both sides. This means that if your horse doesn't have the correct conformation or posture so that they have a good girth line which is well clear of the elbows, the girth can interfere with the elbows. This is why you often see people lift the horse's legs to get them comfortable with the girth, because the elbow might interfere with the girth. With an anatomical girth you don't need to worry about this because the girth will be far enough back from the elbows that there's no interference, which means that you get a full range of motion of the forelimbs when you're working your horse. What about our dogs? There are a million different harnesses out there, so what's the difference between them all? So what I would class as an anatomical dog harness is one that takes into effect the amount of movement your dog will have when they're running and walking. An anatomical harness allows for full range of motion of the shoulders and the elbows. This means that it doesn't restrict the shoulder movement or elbow movement in any way. So these harnesses are usually Y-shaped, which means that they go around the neck and down the front of the chest, and they do not touch the shoulders or the elbows. But like all harnesses, it's important that you get these fitted correctly so that the belly strap does not interfere with your dog's elbow. Even if you get a Y-shaped harness, it might not be right for your dog. It might sit too close to their elbow, meaning that it affects their range of motion through their elbow, just like our horses and their girths. So be sure to make sure that you've got it fitted correctly. I hope you found this useful, and I'd love to know, are you going to go for an anatomical product or a regular product? Which do you think will be best for your pet? Let me know.